What do you guys think are the most dysfunctional organizations? I'd love to know.
Carolina is in there.
Okay, they're in
Dallas, and
the Jets
are in there.
The Jets are number one. It's not even close.
All right, played for them. Let's keep going.
I'd hate to say New York is, but because I played there.
Where do we rank Cleveland on this list?
They're in there.
Cleveland is there. Yeah, that's.
Which one is higher though? Is it Cleveland or is it the Giants?
Oh, dude, the stories from my time in Cleveland are unbelievable. I will say this. I'll divulge this. I don't know if I should, but so I had when I got to the Jets, I was out practicing and I literally popped I broke a little sesamoid bone and then like a little, what do you call it? A tendon in the bottom of my right foot. So like my big toe now, there's I have like a bunion from it, but that's basically what had happened. I'd kind of planted and like turned to cut and ended up like popping this thing, right? Ugh. And so I'd go into the trainer, I'd go try to get rehab and stuff, but I don't want to really say anything because I was like, dude, I am not here to be anything more than maybe like a backup / like get an opportunity. So I'm like, I've got to kind of fight through this. I don't want to tell anyone like this is going on. And so eventually you have to file a workman's comp claim. And when I did so, Woody Johnson at some point had reached out and said how disappointed he was in me for filing a workman's comp claim. And I'm like, you're the owner of all these things, but in particular an NFL franchise, and you're writing like a note to let someone know that he's disappointed. Like I was like, what is happening? Like it was unbelievable, dude. But it just goes back to show you like the things that owners will focus on or the things owners will do. Think about David Tepper going into that restaurant and talking to a guy at the host stand about his hat. Think about that for a second. How ridiculous that is. The guy was a billionaire who's going like, I'm so worried about what this young kid who's wearing a hat at a barbecue place, like why he's rooting against the Panthers. It's like, you guys stink, David. It's your fault.
Dang.
Yeah, on his way to the draft. Let me stop real quick and just check in with it is I can't look, we made the point, but it needs to be underlined and said out loud again. Woody Johnson chased away Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Those are two of the greatest to ever do it. And he chased both of them away. They couldn't get away from there fast enough. And that's when he first got there. So credit to them for seeing, oh yeah, I don't want any part of this. And that's why Belichick took the shot at him when he did on the Manning cast. That's why all the jokes have been made all these years. And like you look at Joe Douglas, like you look at the draft class he had a couple of years ago in 2022. Dude, like he hit draft pick after draft pick after draft pick. Like he did a pretty decent job, all things considered. And one of the reports that came out from The Athletic was that when people saw him, he was just totally beaten down recently, and that they forced him to fire one of his, I believe his name was Rex Hogan, was one of his top assistants. They were really close friends. Their families were close friends. And he forced him, Woody Johnson stepped in, forced him to fire one of his good friends on the staff. He didn't want to do it, and they wouldn't let him go. They almost, some people around the building said that it was almost like Joe Douglas was held hostage. And Joe Douglas told people back in February, Woody should just fire me now. The whole thing is a clown show.
You got to throw Jacksonville on that list. You got to throw them in there for dysfunction. And what direction are you going in? I mean, the idea that upper leadership and how the influence of the ownership, when you have owners that are as involved as a Jerry Jones, a Tepper, a Johnson, a Khan, when they're as involved as they are, and then they have family members that are involved in what's going on. It's not just them, it's their children that are involved with what's going on. It turns into this deal where the management ultimately is handling things upward, not downward. And in business, if you one thing you learn when you take classes and when you experience business in real time, in real life, they tell you the most successful business owners are the ones who learned it from the bottom up, not the top down, but the bottom up, so that you can lead down and be an example that, you know, puts your workforce in position to raise their level up, not downward. And so when you think about that, like, life is all about ascending. Like your hopes, your dreams, your goals, your motivations are always to be more, or should be. And when you look at how ownership handles things, it's not something that creates an environment that inspires or generates that energy where people want to raise their game or take ownership over what you're doing, take ownership and accountability over one another or over the organization. You just don't see it that way in these types of organizations. The sad thing about maybe the one team on this list is the Giants, because I have such an affinity and a respect for their ownership and the kids, the descendants of the Mayor and the Tisch family. That's not something that I experienced and saw while I was there, but it seems to be what it's developed into, because you can see in all of these teams that we're talking about that have that level of dysfunction, there is ultimately the focal point of what the owners are saying and what the owners are doing, and it becomes evident and prevalent amongst the media that the ownership is influencing what's taking place. And you cannot I don't care what coach you get, I don't care what players you get, you're not going to mask that, and it's not going to outperform the dysfunction that's created by your upper leadership members. It's just not.
I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to unveil my top 5 most dysfunctional organizations in the NFL.
Oh, we need some theme music, though. We can't just go straight in this. Come on.
Oh, no, not the clown music,
so here
though.
we go.
Okay, number 1.
Right. I'll start from 5. Number 5.
Yep.
Step right up. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Number 5.
You are number 5.
Showed them some love.
Just by default, they had a clown out a couple years ago to close up the season, their final home game. They actually won that game. That was the year they fired Urban Meyer, and that was going to fix everything, and then they got annihilated their next 2 games. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars at number 5. At number 4, I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. That'll be number 4.
I didn't want to throw them out there, but... Yep, they're in there.
I mean, they're
in there.
Yep, they're in there.
They're definitely in there. Number 3, I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders.
Why? Number 3?
They were really bad, dude, until this year.
That's what I'm saying. You're basing that off of recency, like right now?
That's like a guy who craps his pants 2 years in a row, and one day he goes, "Look, I'm clean, dude." That doesn't wipe out.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but the dysfunction of it is been rectified.
Sure, but we're saying, like, up to this point, it's only into year 1. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe little Danny comes back.
Oh, damn. Damn. All right, let's go.
All right, I'm going to go the Commanders at 3.
Damn.
Right. At number 2, the Cleveland Browns. I'll go with the Cleveland Browns at number 2.
What do you mean? Signing Deshaun Watson, who hadn't played in like a year and a half, coming off all those lawsuits, to the biggest, most fully guaranteed deal in NFL history at the time?
I mean, that definitely...
Does that add to this?
That definitely adds
Looks
to it.
bad in retrospect? Is that what we're saying?
It does. But, there was a couple of playoff appearances there, and I feel like, they've really rallied around that team there locally in Cleveland. But number 1 has to be the Jets. I mean, put it this way, their most successful coach in recent history had a foot fetish. This team stinks. Their organization stinks. And as long as that guy's the owner, it's going to be a disaster.
Damn. So you don't have the Giants in there?
No.
They won a Super Bowl not long ago.
Dude.
That's what I'm just saying. I know they're a good organization, but they're not operating as a good organization.
Yeah, maybe.
Do they have more fires? Do they have more fires at head coach in more recent years than the Commanders do?
Ooh, let me look
it up.
Teams with most head coaches.
and while we're at it, let's throw GMs in there.
It depends on how far you want to go back, because there's going to be some, like Jacksonville and Cleveland and some of these others are really going to like trump all that.
That's what I'm saying. Your top 5 is What? Go ahead. Say it. What?
The Browns over the last 20 years
Here you go, buddy. Enjoy this, LaVar.
are over 100 games under 500.
Damn.
How many different head coaches and general managers?
I don't know. I'm trying to-
But again,
I'm
I would say, but isn't that based
Christ.
upon the ownership? See, I just feel like
Yeah, there's a common theme there.
It's not. I don't know that it's fair.
By the way, Carolina is approaching the list.
How are they not in the top 5?
Because David Tepper, I don't think, has been there long enough to where you can go.
So you're going to use that logic for David Tepper and not give the benefit of the doubt to the Commanders?
No, they haven't been there long enough. You got to
How many
qualify for the
years
award.
So the Tepper doesn't qualify. He hasn't
No.
been there long enough.
No,
But the Commanders qualify because their ownership has been there long
that's
enough?
correct.
How long has their ownership been there? Tepper's been an owner longer than them.
Probably 5 years. 5 years, I want to say.
Has it been that long?
Yeah.
All right. How
I
about
don't
this?
know,
The-
man.
The Browns have had 12 head coaches
Okay.
since 2000. That's if you count Chris Palmer, who coached from 99 to 2000. 12 head coaches. I'm now going to count the New York Giants.
Yeah,
I don't think it's going to come anywhere close.
That's not going to come close with that time frame. I
I'll put
was
it this
thinking
way.
more like the
in their
last
history,
5-6 years.
In their history, they've had 22. Okay.
But I'm saying
So-
like the more recent years. They had like 3 coaches over like a
They've had
4-year
7
period or
since
something.
2000.
Yeah.
They've had 7 since 2000.
That's
Now,
a lot.
No, it's not. You're
7
comparing it to
coaches since
Pittsburgh.
2000?
You're comparing it to Pittsburgh. That's unfair. They've
Okay,
had 3 in
maybe
like
so.
60 years.
Maybe so.
So Coughlin finished in 2015.
That's right.
They have had 5 coaches since then. Ben McAdoo
Over what period
Steve-
of time?
since 2015. So almost a decade. Almost a decade. The Ben McAdoo, Steve Spagnuolo, Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, now Brian Dable.
That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot.
Damn.
In that small period
Okay.
of time, that's a lot. You don't think that's a lot?
It's the exact same for Cleveland. And the problem is
Exactly.
if you-
Exactly. I would have thought Cleveland. I would have thought in that small period of time it would have been New York that had more head coaches, but it was just that rough spot, that rough patch of time where they were giving guys 1 year or whatever, and they were getting rid of them.